In 1993, a Russian physicist quits his job to write a book about how there is an infinite number of realities and how we can choose which reality we want to experience. His book becomes an instant hit and sells a million copies. And in his book, he writes, reality is like a movie with infinite versions already filmed. He taught people to slide between them by changing their inner state. His method, treating goals like they are no big deal. Doing so made them manifest faster than wanting ever could. So I cross checked his method by reflecting on how our subconscious mind works, how we attract relationships into our life, and can we apply his teachings in our life to attract the sort of relationship or the person that we really want to attract into our life. And what I found was that his method actually works. But to understand his method, we need to understand his research. And if we can understand what his research is, what quantum physics says about infinite reality, it will give you a lot more insight on how to make it work even faster. Now, the scientist that we are talking about is named Vadim Zeland, the physicist who decoded reality. Vadim Zeland is a Russian quantum physicist who developed reality transurfing after studying the nature of reality and consciousness. His most important discovery is he combined principles of quantum physics with practical manifestation techniques, creating a system that has sold millions of books. Now, in his book, he explains the core insight on this matter. Now, in his book, he explains reality exists as infinite parallel tracks, like movie version already filmed. Your inner state determines which track you experience. Now, if you have been watching my content, you will realize that I have been speaking about all of these things a lot in all my content, that what you feel inside is what you attract. What your nervous system consistently feels is what you keep attracting into your life, and that's exactly what he explains in his book. Now, why it matters is because his work has inspired countless people to shift from forcing outcome to allowing them a fundamental change in how we interact with reality. Now, before we can dive into the method and understand how the method works, we need to first of all understand the fundamentals. That is the infinite reality tracks. Reality as parallel timelines. The key idea is reality exists as infinite parallel tracks, each representing a different version of events that could unfold. Now, how it works is your inner state, including your thoughts, emotion, and energy, determines which track you experience. You are consistently tuning into different version of reality. Now, to explain to you in simple terms, there are infinite versions of reality that can take place. Each reality that can unfold is dependent upon its probability. And a great example is, let's suppose there is a competition tomorrow on deadlift. And let's just assume you are not into fitness. So your consciousness right now determines that the probability of you winning that competition is less. Does that mean that there is no version of reality where you can't win that? No, there is a version of reality where you can win that. Let's suppose your inner state says that maybe not tomorrow, but I can definitely win this competition. Now that means your inner state has given higher probability to you actually winning that competition. It might not happen tomorrow, but now there is a significantly higher probability that somewhere down in the future you can actually do this. So let's understand this concept. He explained the problem of giving too much importance. He explains when you assign high importance to something, you create energetic turbulence that actually pushes you away from what you want. Now, I can understand what he's trying to talk about. He's talking about when you stress about something, when you give something really high value of importance, you are stressing about it. And once you start stressing about it, remember your inner state decides what kind of reality you are going to attract. If you have assigned such high importance to something and it's creating stress, that stress is reducing the probability of that reality ever taking place. He explained the solution as lower the importance and you naturally slide into better timelines where your desired reality already exists. Now, the concept that he's trying to explain is when you assume something that is going to happen and it's a no big deal, that means you naturally have assigned that reality higher probability because you already know that it's going to happen. I don't even need to stress about it. So there is less importance for you for that reality to take place. But what it does is it gives it a higher probability. Now, the most ironic part is every time that I was able to manifest my ex back, it was because I didn't give it much importance. I just naturally knew and I naturally assumed that it's going to happen. And I wasn't giving it such high importance or stressing about it or just thinking consistently about it. I just knew it's going to happen. Because of that inner state, the probability of that reality started rising. And that's what brought my ex back into my life multiple times. That's because I wasn't stressing about it. I just knew it's no big deal. I know the science adds up. The longer I can feel secure with who I am and know what I bring to the table and I can love myself, that's exactly what I'm going to attract. And that's exactly what happened. Now we need to understand the excess potential trap that Zealand explains. Why wanting too much blocks you. And he explained wanting something too much reduces its probability. So let's check that out. He explains what happens when you care too much is you start treating desires as urgent or life or death, what Zealand calls excess potential, energetic resistance in your reality field. And then he explains what happens when you do that. The universe balances excess potential by creating obstacles. For harder your push, the more resistance you generate. And exactly what I was talking about, just because I was able to feel like it's a no big deal and I wasn't stressing much about it is the reason why it actually happened and why a lot of the people have been asking me how to make it happen. But the real answer is don't stress about it. Your belief needs to be so strong that it becomes a no big deal for you. Anything that you do not stress about happens naturally. And he gave a real world example. He says, ever notice how desperately wanting something seems to push it further away? That is excess potential in action. So I want you to answer this yourself. Did your excess desire to manifest someone into your life actually resulted in some material manifestation? Or were you able to manifest your ex back or the love that you truly desire? And I think the answer is quite simple. You just weren't able to do that. It's because you assigned a lot of importance on that particular manifestation and you stressed about it. So, what Zealand did is he gave this approach a name, and the name is the no big deal approach. He explains that this removes the resistance and allows you to slide into timelines where your desires exist naturally with no force required. And I think if you guys understand what law of assumption is, in law of assumption we talk about if you can assume something to be true, it happens naturally. And if you observe, Zealand's teaching is also aligning with law of assumption. If you naturally assume something is going to happen, you do not stress about it, and that's the reason that it happens. And as Zealand explains, you attract what you feel inside. Your inner state decides what kind of reality you are going to experience. That is law of attraction. So whatever he's teaching, we can actually verify from already established practices. Then he explains the pendulum trap. Stop feeding your problem. So what are pendulums? Zealand explains that problems and obstacles are pendulums, energy structures that feed on your emotional reactions. The more you emotionally react towards your problem gives them higher energy and higher importance, and that creates more stress. And this is something we can also understand from human subconscious mind. Our subconscious mind also works on the same principles. Any neurological state that is born within our subconscious mind wants to survive. And to survive, it needs to be fed. Let's suppose anger. If you start feeling angry, and if you start feeding that anger with doing something or reacting to something that feeds that anger, that neurological state will keep growing again and again. However, if you starve that neurological state, that is by not emotionally reacting to what is fueling that neurological state, you can starve that neurological state in less than 20 minutes. This is how our subconscious mind even works. Now, Zealand also explains something really similar. He explains when you fight problems or give them attention, they grow stronger. Your resistance gives them energy to persist. This is the same thing I explain to people who are chasing their SP or trying to manifest their SP. The more stress you put upon manifesting them is when you start pushing them away. Your focus should always be on healing your subconscious traumas, your subconscious blockages, and becoming okay with not having them around. And that is the trick. Not wanting them to be around is what attracts them back into your life, and this is how your subconscious mind works. Now, Zealand explains the counterintuitive solution, that is, step aside mentally instead of engaging. Do not fight the pendulum, simply stop feeding it your energy. Like I said, if you starve any kind of neurological state, you do not feed it, it dies out. And if it dies out, you're not going to manifest that. If you have that need of being with someone and you consistently try to manifest them out of desperation, you are not going to be able to manifest that particular person. In fact, what you're doing is something really opposite. You're pushing them away. The moment you become okay and content with not having them around, that neurological state dies, and that actually puts you in a reality where probability of having them is significantly higher. It's kind of complicated, but this is how your subconscious mind and universe works. Now, he explains the result saying starving the pendulum allows you to move to a reality track where the problem either disappears or loses its power over you. And that's exactly how even your subconscious mind works, how your neurology even works. And I want you guys to try this out in your life. Anytime you're feeling a particular emotion that you do not want to feel, such as anger, I want you to just remember this. If you do not feed this neurological state for 20 minutes, you will be able to starve this neurological state and it will die out. That means you are not supposed to react on the basis of this neurological state. If you do react, you are feeding this neurological state. So for 20 minutes, do not react to it and observe how that neurological state will just die out. So try this out. Now, Zealand also explains the mechanics of manifestation. He explains why desperation blocks you. He explains that desperation and attachment creates energetic resistance, like trying to swim upstream against a powerful current. Then he also explains the neutral state, that is, when you treat your goal as no big deal, you remove the excess potential that creates obstacles. Exactly what I said. When you become okay and content with not having them around is when you actually have them around. And he explains the energy flow. He says your energy becomes neutral and fluid, like water finding its natural path downhill. He explains this neutral state allows you to slide naturally into reality track where your desire already exists with no struggle required. Wouldn't that be easier? But here is the biggest problem. The reason why a lot of the people are unable to attain this neutral state is because of their childhood conditioning or their childhood trauma, such as a father wound or a mother wound. Now, these kind of wounds are deeply embedded inside our subconscious mind, and they do not allow us to be neutral. We always end up reacting to our relationship dynamic because of them. And one of the biggest reason why a lot of the people have been able to attract love into their life or even their SP by using my techniques is because I help them remove the blockage from their subconscious mind between the ages of 1 to 9. Now, once I do that, becoming neutral is the easiest thing for these guys. The first thing that they experience is they become okay with their reality. They are no longer desperate. And soon after that, they start manifesting these beautiful relationships into their life. That is because we have removed the resistance. The resistance is developed between the ages of 1 to 9. That's my take on this method, that the biggest blockages in our inner state is formed between the ages of 1 to 9. And if we can locate them and we can remove them, we become naturally magnetic towards whatever we truly desire because we are no longer desperately trying to get them. And that ideally puts you in that no big deal approach that Zealand is talking about. Now, I tend to address this with instant healing hypnosis, whereas you can use any kind of therapeutic modality to heal your subconscious mind and achieve that inner peace. And once you achieve that, you naturally attract whatever you truly desire. Now, let's talk about the 3-step method that Zealand explains. Step one is lower the importance. Now, he explains release the pressure by treating your desire as nice to have rather than must have. That's a really big statement over there. That's exactly what happens with my clients once we remove their father wound and their mother wound. They go from must have to it would be nice to have. And that is the big difference that allows them to manifest this love into their life. And that is step number one. Zealand is talking about the same thing that I preach in my program. Now, step number two is act as if it's already arranged and move through your day assuming the universe has already handled it for you. You see, this is law of assumption. This is law of attraction. Once you start feeling like it has already happened, which is highly probable once you have healed your subconscious traumas from your childhood, you ideally are in a state of allowing things to come into your life. And this is the beauty of healing your subconscious blockages. Now, step number three is slide between realities. When obstacles appear, mentally step sideways into a parallel reality where they do not exist. Now, this is something I even preach to my clients when I teach them instant healing hypnosis and I remove their father wound and mother wound and I help them remove all the blockages from their subconscious mind. I explain to them external reality will still influence you. Now you have the tools to ensure that anytime that it influences you, you need to remove that influence. You need to make sure that it is unable to negatively influence you. Once you can do that and you can maintain a consistent neurological state of harmony, peace, and love, that will make you an irresistible magnet for whatever you truly desire. It is cause and effect modality. Your reality should be an effect and your subconscious mind should be the cause. If your subconscious mind consistently becomes the cause, your reality will become an effect, an after effect of whatever you are feeling inside. However, if you allow your reality to influence you, then your reality becomes the cause and your subconscious mind becomes an effect. And that's a position where I wouldn't recommend anyone to be, because your happiness is dependent upon your external reality. That means this movie is playing on autopilot and it's not going to go your way. Now, the core principle that Zealand explains is these three steps work together to remove resistance and align your energy with the reality you want to experience. And I can validate his claim. His research aligns perfectly with law of attraction, law of assumption, law of resonance, and how our subconscious mind operates or filters reality. The science of letting go will give you a lot of insight into why this actually works and how you can use this technique to manifest your desired relationship. Your emotional broadcast, your emotional state sends out a frequency that attracts matching circumstances. Desperation only attracts more reasons to feel desperate. Like I said, whatever neurological state you start feeling is what you are going to consistently feel. The manifestation paradox. Calm confidence draws opportunity and synchronicities. The less you need something, the faster it arrives. And we have been talking about that. That means we need to achieve a higher frequency. And what is a higher frequency? The no big deal state is actually the highest manifestation frequency because it carries zero resistance. And if you pay close attention to his teaching, you will also understand it connects with law of detachment. The moment you detach from the outcome is when you actually attract it into your life. Isn't that a bit peculiar about his approach? Now, he explains what to watch for once you are in this no big deal state. He says synchronicities increase, doors open more easily, helpful people appear, and obstacles dissolve naturally. These are signs you are sliding into better timelines, and that's exactly what I tell my clients once I help them remove these blockages and teach them instant healing techniques. I ask them to observe how each and every day your reality will start aligning with whatever you truly desire, and that is observer's effect. Once again, we can validate his claims with physics and how our subconscious mind works. Wherever the subconscious focus goes, the energy flows. Now, here is the truth about reality. What you chase runs away, what you allow comes closer. Now, the core lesson that I want you guys to understand is treat your desires as no big deal and watch them manifest with ease. Like I said, do not stress about it. The more you stress about it, the less you will be able to attract them. And to remove the stress, you need to get inside your subconscious mind and start healing your childhood conditioning between the ages of 1 to 9. Now, why most manifestations fail is because people try too hard. They create importance around their desire, which generates the very resistance that blocks them. When people are aggressively trying to manifest their SP or love into their life, that's exactly when it never happens. How ironic is that? But the reason is there's a lot of stress inside their subconscious mind. There's a lot of importance they have placed on that particular person. That's the reason it's not coming into their life. Common mistakes that I really want you guys to avoid is pretending you do not care while secretly being attached. That means you cannot pretend, hey, I'm not emotionally attached to that particular person, but secretly you are quite desperate. That is lying to yourself and it's not going to work. Then using this technique as another technique to force results. I mean, come on, if you're using this as another technique to just force the result and simultaneously you are using other techniques because in your subconscious mind you go like, I should try all the other techniques, I don't even know which one is going to work out, then that means you have placed a lot of stress and you're giving a lot of importance, exactly what we do not want to do. Now, the third thing, giving up actions entirely. Remember this, I have said this again and again in a lot of my videos. Manifestations only work once you combine your mind, body, and soul. The aspect of mind is your focus. The aspect of soul is your desire. But the element of body is taking inspired actions. You also need to be taking actions. You cannot lock yourself into a room and start manifesting and hoping that someone is going to knock at your door and bring a bouquet of flower and get down on their knees and propose you. That's not going to happen. You need to start taking inspired actions. And once I help my clients remove their blockages, my method actually allows them to give them inspired action. They already know the inspired action that they need to be taking, because the method that I use is I take them to a part of their subconscious mind that stores all the lessons that they need to start practicing. And once they acknowledge those lessons, the neurological shift is instant. However, they still need to practice those lessons into their life. And once they start practicing those lessons is when magic starts happening into their reality. I really hope that this video gives you guys great insight into how you can manifest your desired relationship or your SP or whatever you truly want to attract. And this is where I want to emphasize to you guys. If you go to your therapist and remove your blockages, you are changing the entire script of the movie and you become the director of your own life. So start seeking therapy to remove the blockages. The blockages are the primary reason you haven't been able to attract the reality that you truly desire or the love that you truly desire. And if you would like to work with me in my 15 days instant healing program, the process is quite simple. You can sign up for a free mini therapy session with me. In this session, I will assess your subconscious conditioning and your subconscious mind map. And if I feel like I can promise you the results, I will allow you to enroll into my program. However, if I feel like I cannot promise you the result or I might not be a great fit for you, I might refuse your application. I'll leave the link in the description and in the pinned comments. I'll see you guys in the next video. So don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Share your experiences in the comment to inspire other people, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.